Hey, gang! Welcome to another version and another episode of Wisdom Wednesday. I'm Mark Sweeney here in Austin, Texas, the heat capital of the world. Actually, I talked to a friend of mine from Phoenix, and they're on their 31st day of over 110. So we're not quite that bad here in Texas, but even for a native Texan, it's hot. It's been up 105, 106 every day. And so that's going to tie in. We got a couple of things going on today. First of all, we're shooting remotely because my typical cameraman on Wednesdays that shoots Wisdom Wednesdays, I have about 3 different people that show up, and none of them were available. Their cars melted. And so instead, we're doing this remotely. I'm sending it to my marketing director in Santa Fe, New Mexico, who is then posting it on Facebook as Facebook Live. So more details than you really needed to know. But the other thing that's going on is this is the first Wednesday in August. And as you know, if you're a regular to Wisdom Wednesdays, every month we have a new theme. And with football season coming, with the baseball about to go into playoffs with the Major League Baseball, they're a month away from going into the playoffs that lead up to the World Series. With all this stuff going on, school starting again, our theme for the month of August is get in the game. Get in the game in the month of August. So it covers all those different topics that I just talked to you about. And because of the heat, what's one mineral that we all have in our bodies that gets depleted the most by heat, by sweating particularly? We'll come back to that in a minute. But if you watched last week, we talked about orienteering, which is you can look it up online. There are orienteering groups here in Austin. I'm sure there are in most major cities, and it has to do with, finding your way around with nothing more than a compass and a fairly detailed map. And I see people around on the weekends in downtown Austin, groups of people, 3 or 4 with a map and a compass. So they're doing orienteering. Why can that potentially benefit you and your brain growth? Well, you'll have to look it up, or you can go to last week's chapter or episode on either Facebook or YouTube. We have channels on both, and they're archived on Facebook, so you can go back and look at any of our previous episodes of Wisdom Wednesday. If you're a first-timer, what we do is exactly what we're doing right now. We introduce a theme for the month, and then we introduce a topic each week that not always has to do with dentistry. It for sure has to do with leading a healthier lifestyle. It might have some medical issues instead of dental issues, but it's all tied towards overall body health. And then I always have a health tip at the end that's some nice little small, easy to implement thing that might make a difference in your life. So today, we'll jump right into the topic. It's no different than every other month. We got some interesting stuff that actually ties into the weather. What is this mystery mineral that everybody has and that you get depleted more in hot months? Have you ever seen a bunch of bicyclists out, or have you ever been on a long distance bike ride? And what's the one thing that they have at every rest stop? Bananas by the dozen. Why bananas? Because they're loaded with potassium. And if you're on a long bike ride, especially in the hot months, you're going to deplete the potassium because you're riding a lot of times against the wind. You're out in the elements, either hot or cold or rainy or whatever it is, but you're going to sweat. And one of the ways your body loses potassium is through sweating. Sweating is normally a good thing. It's a way to balance your body's temperatures. The other way, the normal way that you lose potassium is through your kidneys and then out of your body through your bladder, through urine. But on a hot day, you're going to sweat and you also lose potassium that way. Well, what is the big deal about getting depleted in potassium. We'll get into some potassium-rich foods and how to build it back up in just a minute. But potassium is a mineral that plays a significant role in the function of your heart, your kidneys, your muscles, which is why they do it on these long-distance bike rides. We were always told that if you take in a lot of potassium, either in supplements or eating as many bananas as you can, that you're less likely to cramp. But it's really the potassium, the lack of potassium, that causes your muscles to cramp, and the increase in lactic acid. It also can increase the risk of kidney stones, and it can even, in really low deficiency potassium, pull the calcium and potassium out of your bones, which is one of the places your body stores excess calcium and excess potassium. So diets rich in potassium and low in sodium can actually lower your blood pressure and reduce the risk of strokes. So how much potassium do you need? Well, it's different with women and men, and that's based on the assumption on average in the population that men are bigger, bulkier, burn more calories in a day's time. A woman typically needs the potassium recommendations are 2,600 milligrams per day. For a man, it's 3,400, so about 30% more. And that's the average person and per day across a large segment of the population. So you got to kind of adjust that to what you're doing. If you're outdoors a lot and you're sweating a lot, you need to up that potassium level. If you stay indoors and lead a pretty sedentary life, you need to get at least that daily minimum. So I lost a page in here. We're going through the different foods that are rich in potassium. One of them is, like I talked about, bananas. Legumes, which are beans, are high in potassium. Seafood, especially the deep water ones like salmon, mackerel, halibut, tuna, all the snapper, red snapper, I love that. They've all got, for a 3-ounce fillet, you get about 400 milligrams. So about almost 1/4 of your daily requirement, right there in a 3-ounce piece of fish. Legumes are what we were just talking about with the beans. They're leafy green vegetables also. Popeye had it right. He was growing muscles with eating the can of spinach, but you grow muscles by having enough potassium in your system. A half cup of cooked spinach has 400 milligrams, the same amount as a 3-ounce fillet of any of those deep water fish. Beet greens, not the beet part, the red part, but the greens. I've never really eaten that, but they have 600 milligrams, so even more than the leafy greens and more than a 3-ounce fillet of fish. So interesting stuff. Avocados, as you can imagine, also are ripe with potassium. So grab that guacamole if you have a hankering to. I'm getting ready to go over to Chez Z across the street and do exactly that. They have some of the best guacamole and chips. They make them right there in the place. So you can bump up your potassium by trying those foods that are high in potassium, or you can do it the easy way by just buying potassium supplements. They make them right over there in the vitamins section of the grocery store and the big box pharmacies. So that's a different way that you can do it also. And my health tip for the week is stay hydrated, because it is hot out there. As you lose sweat, you're not only losing potassium, but you're losing a lot of other things that your body needs. So drink more water than you think you need, and eat healthy, and of course, get plenty of sleep. And that's my health tip for the week. And it's probably about 80% of my health tips have to do with one of those three: either stay hydrated, get more sleep, or eat healthy. So I hope this has been helpful information. Welcome to the month of August, and I hope we'll have something new and exciting for you again next week. I'll see you for another version of Wisdom Wednesday. So long. Stay cool.